Craig talked about a little bit how high-profile free agents often choose the brighter lights in bigger cities, bigger money. Is it your hope that your decisions together kind of maybe paves a new way for people in the future and shows that there is a place in the mid-markets, medium markets, and that Minnesota can become a destination for players down the road as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think, people see the warm welcome we're getting right now, and they see how much commitment the owner shows. That says a lot for players, and we're going to try to help get as many free agents here as we can.
Charlie?
Hey, Mike, have you thought about pencil on paper or anything like that? How are you going to use these guys now, specifically?
Spent a lot of time thinking about it already. That's the fun part of the job. I was just saying earlier that we've all come in for this rookie camp. It was the first chance that all of us coaches have had a chance to be in the same room since this has happened. And first thing that happens is we all start drawing up our line combinations and power play setups and personnel. So it's obviously there's a lot of time between now and training camp, but that's what happens. It's the excitement of it. It's the excitement and the idea of what you can do with these, again, adding these two players to your lineup, the trickle-down effect that it has on the rest of the group as well. It's just real exciting for us.
Go ahead.
For Zach and Ryan, has it hit you, the irony of this hit you yet, that in the backyard of the Gophers, it took a Fighting Sioux and a Badger to create the biggest press conference in Wild history?
Well, I said this the other day that hopefully everyone can forgive both of us for not choosing the Gophers about 10 years ago. I've moved on, obviously, so hopefully everyone else can.
For either of you guys, you've both played here wearing the road sweater. How does Minnesota as a hockey venue compare to playing in Nashville, playing in New Jersey, or other places you played on the road, and did that factor into your decision at all?
I think so. We know how passionate the people of Minnesota are about hockey, and every time you come here, the stadium's packed and it's loud, and the guys, they play hard in front of their fans, and I think that had a big thing to do with it. We know how great the fans are here.
Yeah, for Ryan and Zach, what kind of leaders are you guys? Are either one of you the kind of guy that there's a guy in the room who's slacking off or not pulling his weight? Or are either of you the kind of guy that's going to pull him aside and say, hey, we need something better out of you?
I mean, I don't like to put a label on the type of leadership that we're going to have or the type of the people that we are. But I think, if I could speak for him, just from playing with him, I think both of us are lead by example type of guys. I think that's. At the same time, I don't think that either of us are so much rah-rah guys, but I think if something needs to be said at certain times that it can and will be, but I would say that first and foremost, we're both lead by example on the ice, off the ice, and I mean, unless you think differently.
Yeah, definitely. Lead by example, and if everyone's on the same page and there's someone that's not pulling their weight, they'll know who they are, I'm sure.
Any other questions?
For Zach or Ryan, what was it like playing against the Wild? In your respective teams, what was it like when you came in here and played those, or elsewhere played against the Wild?
Well, we play them, or we've played them four times a year, so they come at you hard. They're very detailed. This last year, they played a good system, played their system, and they would come at us hard. They would have a lot of back pressure, so it was hard for our forwards to create offensively. Great goaltending. They got guys who can shoot the puck, and they're a very good team.
Was there any hesitancy at all at signing a 13-year contract? I mean, that's basically half of your life, that 13-year contract.
I didn't hesitate.
No.
No, not at all. No, not at all. I think that's, for me especially, I knew I wanted to play at home, and I knew that I wanted to finish my career at home. So from my standpoint, there wasn't any at all.
Go ahead, Dave.
For Ryan and Zach, the tendency in sports is to usually go where the money is, where you can make the most. What's been the reaction from your peers at the contract, you guys taking less money to play together here?
Well, they're excited. I mean, when you sign a contract for the amount of money that we did, it's a ton of money. So it's hard for someone to say that they took less money, but they're happy for us. My old teammates are happy for me. I'm sure Zach's are for him, and it's Minnesota's where we want it to be.
Go ahead, Izzy.
Right after you guys signed, there was a lot of talk about what you guys coming here could do for the talent on this team already. What can some of the players here do to help your game?
I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, it's a team sport, and I mean, you're only as good as your team. And I mean, I don't want to single anyone out, but I mean, you play with a center like Mikko. He's arguably one of the best two-way centers in the game, I think, in my opinion, just from playing against him a few times and at World Championships and things. And I always thought that that he and I would play well together. I'm not trying to say anything, but
Pick where you want to play.
not dropping hints or anything, but
Good idea.
I felt like he was a type of player that I would play well with, and so hopefully get the opportunity to, because I think we play a pretty similar north-south hard game.
Go ahead.
This question's for Ryan. Ryan, David Poyle's been very vocal in his disappointment and frustration with you choosing to sign here in Minnesota. Have you spoken to him, and just your reaction to the comments that he's made?
Yeah, I have spoken to David. That was the first call that I made. It was one of the toughest calls that I've ever had to make. I have a lot of respect for David Poyle. He's a class act. He's done unbelievable things in Nashville. We've been straightforward with each other through the start of the whole process, and it hurts me to leave Nashville because they've done so much for me. But also, I'm excited for the new start here.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Zach, how's the wedding planning going, and are you considering Ryan for a groomsman spot?
That is all going along really well. No, I didn't. That's coming along really well. It's been a pretty hectic July, and I think it's only going to keep going. I'm looking forward to August right now, but we're excited about it. It should be a lot of fun, and I think it's pretty much all taken care of right now.
Go ahead, Maxie.
Zach, what did you learn this playoff run and getting to the Stanley Cup Finals about what it takes to win a Stanley Cup, and just the marathon that you went through?
I learned how hard it is to get there, and I think that's from a playing standpoint. I had heard stories, and you heard other players talk about it that made it to the finals, that the guys had won the cup. A big thing I learned about it's about getting into the playoffs right now. I think the league is so even. You had a 6 seed and an 8 seed in the finals. It's about getting in, and then it's about peaking at the right time. But I learned a lot about how much, how big of a stage it is, how much media attention the whole thing gets. And I think that's a good experience to go through one time. And even though it didn't turn out the way we had hoped, just to get there it was incredible.
Go ahead, Jess.
If
you guys, Zach, you've played out east, and Ryan, you've played in the Central Division. Have you looked at all at the Northwest and what it's going to look like next year with Vancouver picking up a guy like Garrison and all that young talent in Edmonton? Thought about that at all?
Well, the whole league is so good. I mean, every year teams change so much now. I haven't really looked at it, but obviously playing in the Western Conference, you play against every team 4 times, so you get to know who's on the team. There's so much parity in the NHL right now, and you can't take a night off. Every game is so important.
Kevin Gorg.
For Chuck Fletcher, Chuck, how long ago did you start with your staff looking at this summer for free agency? How big a priority were these two guys, and how many moves did you make before this summer to get ready for this, and how happy are you now that it's come true?
Well, obviously, extremely happy that we're sitting here today. This is, this was the best case scenario, sitting there a few months ago and coming off a really tough finish to what was a promising start, and the way we finished was so disappointing, and trying to figure out ways where we wouldn't be in that position again. This is the best case scenario. I mean, this is what we had hoped, and had some pain along the way to create the cap space to be in this position, but we took our shot and we went for both of them, and we're just very fortunate that they chose to come here.
Zach, you're wearing your father's number now in your jersey here in Minnesota. Tell me about his influence on you, how much you leaned on him even those last hours before making this decision. Did you use him as a sounding board a little bit as well?
Yeah, I definitely was speaking with him throughout the whole process. He, as throughout my whole career, he was really helpful. He told me how much, granted it was in the 60s and 70s, but he told me how much he loved playing here. And and just from being home, from being from here, I thought it was a good fit. But he was, I think, excited is an understatement when I told him and my mom that we were going to come back here. And they didn't make it out to New Jersey too often, so I think just for them to be able to drive 30 minutes to come to the game, they're both really excited.
Anything else? All right, thank you, everyone. And like we said before, they'll all be available for one-on-ones here off inside the arena. Thank you.